Hey Nathan, we've got a really cool world premiere that we're going to be talking about, and that is, of course, the Nissan Pathfinder.
2022 Nissan Pathfinder with lots of new stuff.
Yeah, and in this video, we're going to tell you everything that you want to know about it because, well, it's changed once again. But, Nathan, Nissan at the same time has unveiled the Frontier, and you and Andre over at TFL Truck have got all the scoop on the Frontier. So if you want to see the Frontier, head on over after you watch this video and you can get both. Why are they doing them together?
Because variety is the spice of life, and they're not very spicy.
Because there's no auto shows?
That's part of it.
All right, let's delve into it. So this is the 5th generation Pathfinder. And let's face it, Nathan, the old Pathfinder, the current one, got the nickname of Mallfinder.
There were a lot of issues and compromises made with that vehicle, namely the fact that they took it off a proper frame-based SUV, made it into what is basically a large station wagon with a CVT. Now, in terms of it being just a comfortable, good family car, sure, it was. It was fine. But it really lost its feel for being a Pathfinder, an off-road vehicle. And this current one is this newest one that we're looking at here, 5th generation, right? So the first few were really like trucks you could take off-road.
Yeah,
I have one. I still own one.
Body on frame, unibody, body on frame, unibody. And
right, back and forth and back and forth with it. But they still were, up until the prior generation, capable off-road vehicles that were stout.
Yep, and then the other big news, let's just cut right to the chase, is they got rid of the CVT.
Yep. You guys wanted it. They did it. They now have a 9-speed ZF automatic transmission, which feeds the front wheels and can feed all 4 wheels. It has a 4-wheel drive system. This is huge news because this means that Nissan is finally stepping away from the Jatco CVT, and I have a feeling we're going to see that saturate throughout their other vehicles, small light trucks.
Let's face it, people did not like the CVT.
Well, yeah.
They had reliability issues.
I think it was the biggest issue Nissan had.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of, because they built really good engines. Their new interiors are fantastic. They have lots of tech. I think the designs are decent. So now they're finally taking care of that one elephant in the room.
All right, well, let's cut right to it. Let's talk about the most important thing, which is what you guys probably care about, and that's the design. So the highlights, we got a ground-up redesign for both interior and exterior. Still a 3-row crossover, Nathan.
Yeah.
Unibody construction, like we said. Exterior styling has some nods to the old Pathfinder. 3 slots in the top part of the grille, like the original version. A boxier shape gets rid of the bulbous look of the last model.
Yeah.
And new LED lights and taillights. Pathfinder script across the rear tailgate.
Yep.
Overall, less anonymous, more rugged, better looking than the Echo car. Do you agree?
Yes. If you look at this vehicle, you're going to see a cross between what's going on with the Nissan Rogue, very similar design to that, and the new Nissan Frontier, which once again is on TFL Truck right now. And it's a much more chiseled, actually, Armada, a lot of Armada in this too.
I agree, a lot of Armada.
And that's the thing, Nissan is finally saying, okay, we're going to make trucks look like trucks. Yes, of course, this is not a truck, but they want it to feel that way, they want it to look that way, so it's a square-shouldered look. I think it's much more handsome than the previous model. There are a couple things, in fact, this picture behind me shows me something that I'm a little concerned about, which is the approach angle with the extra components down here, which are for aerodynamics. Yeah, you might rub here and there. But other than that, I think that it's a really good redesign.
All right, let's talk about the interior. Again, more straight lines, more boxier, like the exterior, upright dash, flat bottom steering wheel. Flat bottom steering wheel.
Well, that's good for people who are a little chunky and need to get behind that steering wheel, or for racing.
Yeah, for Paul.
Yeah, but Paul's not going to, he's going to, hey, let's race this thing. The thing is, but I think it looks good. I think it's a really good looking, and I think Nissan's doing that across the board.
Dude, I was so, when the Germans started reinventing and redesigning the gear shift lever, right? I was terrified it would come to this, and it has come to this. Now they're redesigning the steering wheel, right? Tesla just came out with basically a yoke.
Oh, a square steering wheel. What's a squiggle?
Yeah, it's like, for their next Model S Plaid. And now we've got Nissan going, how long before there's some kind of a weird like figure 8.
I'm not gonna harp on Nissan about the flat bottom steering wheel. Frankly, it makes ingress and egress easier. It really does, especially for larger Americans, right?
All right, so we've got a 9-inch infotainment display with wireless Apple CarPlay,
12.3-inch screen up front, so it's great for information for drivers.
and wired Android Auto. Also, we've got thoughtful touches like Pathfinder script again on the center console lid, new 7-mode terrain selector on the center console, as well as new gear selector. Once again, redesigning the gear selector.
At least it's not a push button.
Yeah, and available second row captain's chairs, so you can get a 7-passenger 2, or 3 setup, or an 8-passenger 2, 3, 3 configuration.
Which is really important for certain large families out there.
What do you think of the interior?
I love it.
Yeah?
The interior is sharp. It's going to have, the front seats are going to have that wonderful foam that they now have, which is their zero gravity foam. So far, Nissan seats have proven to be, for an entry-level vehicle, some of the best out there in my book. For my big, chunky American ass, they just are really comfortable. The overall layout is smart and simple. There's a ton of tech that you get here that's standard too, so it's all really impressive.
And I agree, Nathan. Nissan wins the award for the best marketing speak out there. Zero gravity seats, Nissan. Whoever invented that, you should be very proud of.
Well, they're going to say it was because of astronauts and stuff like that, whatever. But it works. It's comfortable.
Brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant stuff.
All right, now, of course, with the Japanese, they're making all the safety tech standard, including Toyota and Honda, and Nissan's no different. So their Safety Shield 360 comes standard, front and rear automatic braking, blind spot warning, rear cross traffic alert, lane departure, and automatic headlights. All that is included.
And that is so important when you think about the fact that you're talking about a vehicle that's probably going to have an entry-level price well under $40,000. And most importantly, people out there want this stuff standard. They really don't like to haggle. Unlike the Germans who make you pay for everything.
Oh, dude, even Ram with that TRX. We paid 77 and it doesn't have blind spot monitoring. I love the fact that the Japanese, actually the Koreans as well, are including all that. There should be no discussion on safety equipment. It should just be part of
it. If it works, then put it in the damn car. And if you mass produce it, it becomes cheaper.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you want to talk about leather or big...
that's different.
Yeah, or big roofs, all that stuff, fine. But safety stuff, just put it in. All right.
Yeah, I agree.
They're also bringing in the ProPilot Assist and NaviLink, updated version of Nissan semi-autonomous driving assistance. We just used it in the new Leaf. It works.
It works pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's when you think semi-autonomous, guys, don't think it's going to get you.
It's not even level 2.
Yeah, it's level 2. So basically,
barely out of 5.
Yeah, so on the highway it works really well, keeps you in the lane and stuff like that, but it's not going to drive you to any particular location. It's to help you drive to that location.
Yeah, it steers, brakes using the help of radar and navigation to predict the road ahead. It predicts the road ahead.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind, Nissan Pathfinder is one of the best sellers that Nissan has next to the Nissan Rogue, period. They sell the hell out of these things. So all of these updates, which are rather expensive, are very important for Nissan and important for you guys out there. So they are not going to drop the ball here. They need a winner, and I think that they're on their way to doing it.
All right, you want to go and talk about the big news, because it's, of course, has to do with the transmission.
Once again, 9-speed automatic transmission, feeding the front wheels, 9-speed automatic. I'm so thrilled about this, I can barely talk. So
you said a good thing and a bad thing.
Huh?
You said a good thing and a bad thing. I'll go into that, but go for it.
So the 9-speed automatic transmission, now a lot of people thought that it was going to feed the rear wheels.
Yes, that's a bad thing. So the 9-speed, ZF 9-speed, good. Feeding the front wheels,
The bottom line is that this is a crossover. It's not a proper SUV. It doesn't have a frame or anything else. So it's not going to feed the rear wheels at first. But there is an all-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive system, which will. Now, we don't have the specifics on how that system is going to work, how much torque is going to...
I can guess. That's going to
About
allocate
50-50.
torque to whatever wheels needed, Nathan.
Yeah, I know. But Nissan in the past has done fairly decent all-wheel drive systems. I've used them in the snow before.
Look, let's do a mini "No, You're Wrong."
Okay.
All right, Nathan. No, you're wrong. This should be like, since they got rid of the Xterra, this should be their Xterra. There should be a proper locking center diff. There should be a proper locking rear diff. This should be rear-wheel drive, as earlier reports indicated, and this should be an off-roader, so that if you do want to take it off-road, you can. And I think if they had gone down that route and not kind of try to cut the difference between the two sides, right, getting rid of the CVT but keeping that transversely mounted front-wheel drive layout, they would have done better.
No, you're wrong, but thank you for playing. No, here's the deal. The bottom line here is that they need to sell these vehicles. They have to look at the return on investment, and a lot of people out there absolutely do not care about a vehicle that's rear drive bias. Your family is going to get into this vehicle, and now that it has a hopefully more reliable transmission, which is really what the issue was with the CVT, that jack cut was an issue. The bottom line is that this will hopefully be more reliable, more capable, and at the same time, easy enough for your average family person to drive. They don't care about going off-road. As much as we do, they don't. And on top of that, rumor has it, Nissan is pushing to get a new 4x4 proper small SUV, not crossover, into their fleet. And we actually have that story on TFL Car.
Wow, like an Xterra replacement?
Like an Xterra. People demanding it, and Nissan might be listening. And with the new Frontier, they might use that platform. So that's neither here nor there right now, because we're talking about
the engine, dude. So I'm not even going to look at my notes. I can tell you what's under the hood.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a 3.5 V6, of course.
It is.
Which has been under every hood of every Nissan
for a long time. And you know what's crazy? They
What?
have that new 3.8 that they're using just in the Frontier. And I thought that they'd use it in this, because that thing is a spectacular, powerful engine that cost them a lot of money to develop. But no, they're sticking with this older engine. But with that being said, when you configure this vehicle properly, it is one of the best towing in its class.
6,000 pounds, 284 horsepower, 259 pound-foot of torque. You know, that V6 is a workhorse, right?
It's a good V6.
It's a workhorse, but I think that Nissan needs to either electrify or turboify or supercharge.
They've done all that before, though.
Yeah, it's like it's getting a little. So yeah, it's cost cutting, right? You put that 3.5.
Well, that's exactly the point.
But at some point, you're competing with vehicles, you know, that have a lot more options.
Yes, they do. But you know, you guys got to remember that if you look back at the Pathfinder history, which is actually a very long history, it goes all the way back to 1986. The current model Pathfinder has had a hybrid version with a supercharged 4-cylinder at one point in time, if you remember that. They had a whole bunch of things that they tried and they just weren't selling them. So they're sticking to what they know. And the development cost alone of that 9-speed, hooking it up to this new vehicle, probably set them back a lot of money. And they need to make sure that they get it right. So they're putting in a reliable engine, hopefully with a reliable transmission, into a vehicle that will hopefully bump them up.
You're a fanboy.
I am, because I love Pathfinders, and I was so upset with the last Pathfinder because I knew they could do better. So I know Nissan is good.
So let's talk towing, because it is pretty impressive, right? It beats the Explorer, the Highlander, the Telluride, the Pilot, but slightly behind the Durango when properly configured. So
yes.
Standard towing is 3,500, but if you get the rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, then you can.
With the tow package, you have to get the tow package. Then you can go to 6. And the thing is that yes, the Durango does out-tow it, and the Durango is a completely different vehicle. On top of that, the Durango doesn't have seating configuration like the Nissan Pathfinder.
But it does have a Hellcat supercharger.
Yes, and I know how awesome that is.
But those are sold out.
I'm trying to think of the logic behind the regular person who's going to be buying this vehicle. And there's another thing that's really cool. You're able to put a 4x8 sheet of plywood in this vehicle with all the seats down. That is really cool. And you cannot do that with your regular, most crossovers you can't do that with.
Nope. All right, we got 4 trim levels. We got the S, the SV, the SL, and the Platinum. S model get the safety shield, which is great, and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is pretty cool. SV gets Pro Pilot Assist, heated front mirrors and seats.
Yep.
So you're moving up. SL gets a 360-degree camera, wireless Apple CarPlay, and Pro Pilot Assist with Navulink. Platinum, finally, you know, the top of the line, gives you the digital instrument cluster, heads-up display, wireless phone charging, and so on and so forth. But no pricing yet, Nathan.
No pricing yet. Now, the old model started at $33,000. So it's fair to assume that this one will be around that same price for your base model, so maybe mid-30s. The thing is that Nissan's always been a value player. They try to undercut the equivalent people that they go against. And in this case, I think they're going to try to undercut the Toyota Highlander, which is the direct competitor to this vehicle.
It's a really crowded field with a lot of good cars. You know, the Telluride is exceptional.
I think that might be best in class.
Yeah.
Like for what you get for the money.
Yeah, the Kia Twins certainly are really good. So, you know, they're going to have to bring their A game if they're going to want to play in this field, because it's you know, once upon a time, sedans were the best-selling cars in America. No longer. It's now crossovers.
What's the sedan you mentioned?
The Camry.
What is a sedan?
Oh yeah, what is a sedan?
Oh, does that have those trunks?
Yeah, the
Americans used to like trunks.
the Accord, things like that. Yeah, those are long gone now.
Everybody's buying crossovers or pickups now.
So yeah, we'll see. I mean, we got to go on the drive of the last generation. Remember that?
Yes, actually, a couple of those, and both Roman and I we're trying our best to be positive, but both of us at the same time we're like, this CVT really isn't great.
And it was in Northern California, and we did a little bit of light off-roading, and with the light being the more important part than
Dirt
the
roads,
off-roading.
really,
Yeah, dirt roads. So I'm hoping, look, dude, adventure and overlanding and all that is red hot right now. So you can even in the Telluride, right? You can see that they're even doing like off-roady Tellurides.
I'm willing to bet you money. I'll put my money on the line. I'll bet you, I can't say a specific amount because we're not allowed to bet legally online. So I'm going to bet you money, though, offline, that this vehicle will show up possibly at SEMA or something like that, and they will have some sort of overlanding version where they bump it up a little bit, they put a little roof tent on there and a few other things, because Nissan's done that several times before at overlanding events, and this vehicle will be really smart to do that with. And if it's decent in the rough, which I think it might be, they don't want to fail. They're going to try hard, right? If they can make it decent in the rough, then putting nice tires on there, giving it a little bit of a lift, could make it a pretty interesting vehicle.
Well, I'm hoping that Nissan gets back into the off-road ball game. I think losing the Xterra, in my opinion, was a huge mistake.
I agree 100%.
That had a following. It had parts manufacturers. So yeah, let's bring back something that's a little bit more rugged. All right, guys, if you're interested in seeing what Nissan has done with the Frontier, oh my gosh, that's been forever. Literally forever.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting stuff.
Head on over to TFL Truck because Nathan and Andre, you and Andre, take that and completely give you all the details.
Just like we did here, but even more stuff.
Even more stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to talk about.
All right. And as always, this is Roman.
And Nathan.
Saying thanks for watching. And check out TFL, in this case, Car, for more news, views, and of course, honest and independent reviews. Nathan, do you know what's coming up this Saturday over at TFL Truck? I'm saying this because it's a car thing.
Oh, okay. No,
so we have that new series, Run What You Brung.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a dude brought a GT500 to race against a TRX.
That ought to be interesting.
It was.
Yeah,
that was interesting and a little butt crunchy.
Yeah.
Drag racing in the winter in Colorado, a rear-wheel drive 760 horsepower vehicle. Fun things happen.
Was there flames?
No.
Ow!
No flames. Thank God there were no flames. But butt crunchiness all around. See you guys next time. Ciao.
See you guys.
So what's quicker in a straight line? A drag race. Is it a Mustang GT500 or the Ram TRX? Well, we're about to find out.